We want to get an understanding of the modified phased implementation, and of course, the challenges that have been encountered and how they are being dealt with. We're speaking to a member of the GRA's Technical Committee on e-levy, Nana Poku Efriye Asante. Thank you very much for the opportunity, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
So let's start from the transactions that are affected.
Okay, so basically, the transactions that are affected by the levy is when you do an electronic transfer from the same charging entity or within the same charging entity. What this means is that if I have an MTN Momo wallet, okay, and then I make a transfer from that MTN Momo wallet to another recipient who is also within MTN, it's covered. Same way, when I make a transfer from my MTN to to a recipient at Vodafone, the transfer also covered. Then you can also look at it from when you do a Momo transaction from your Momo wallet to the bank, and then bank to the Momo wallet. And the last one will be bank-to-bank transfer, but it has to originate from an individual, right? And then it also has to terminate on another bank account. When you make a transfer using a corporate bank account, regardless of where it terminates, if it ends up in an individual's bank account or a corporate bank account, that is totally exempted. So for corporate bank accounts, if that specific transaction ends with another individual or another company, it's exempt. Ordinarily, when you do a transfer between accounts that you own, so for example, I have a bank with EcoBank, right? I bank with EcoBank, and then I make a transfer from my EcoBank account to my GT Bank account. Ordinarily, you wouldn't be charged for the levy. But then we also issued, the Commissioner General issued a modified phased approach towards the implementation of the levy. What this means is that each charging entity is responsible for charging within their own network. And because they do not have visibility over who the recipient is on the other network, the levy will be charged. However, we've put in place measures to refund that money whenever the person identifies themselves that, oh, okay, so I made a transfer from my EcoBank account to my GT Bank account, but then I'm still the same person. So for that reason, I want a refund, and then when you call in, your refund will be made.
Wouldn't that be creating challenges, some inconvenience for customers of these banks?
Yeah, so this is anticipated. So that's why we called it the modified phased approach. There's a reason why we went that way. Now, when we go full haul, okay, by 1st July, that is where we'll have, GRA will have a central platform where regardless, if I make a transfer from my MTN to my Vodafone, MTN to my APSA, EcoBank to GT, that central platform will have visibility over all the transactions. So in that case, you wouldn't be having some of these cases being reported.
And then there's also the issue with identification. So from 1st July, I think all banks will now use or recognize the Ghana card. For persons who have opened accounts using other forms of identification, say a driver's license or a passport, I mean, what are the challenges anticipated in there, and then how do we hope to deal with that as well?
Okay, so it is very crucial that everyone tries as much as possible to obtain the Ghana card. So the NI Act was passed somewhere in 2012, and then since then we are all required to have gotten the Ghana card. But currently, you see that the registration is still ongoing. So we are encouraging people that because the Ghana card is going to be used, or the TIN is going to be used as basis for identification of persons. So for example, when I go to the bank, it is my Ghana card identity that will be used to identify me. Now, what will happen is that if you still have a passport obtained by your bank, and then you do not have a Ghana card there, and then you do a transaction from, say, EcoBank to APSA, which has my passport, the reference, the identity behind that account is passport. And then the identity behind where you are transferring from is the Ghana card. So there wouldn't be any match, and for that you would be levied. Yeah.
For online businesses, say these Jumia and the rest, explain to us how the e-levy applies to their business.
Okay, so we have what we call, under the law, we have what we call specified merchant payments. So as a customer, when I go online and then I want to purchase, say, a shoe, okay, what I am doing is that I am buying an item from a merchant. Now, what we are saying is that the merchant should be registered with GRA for either income tax or VAT. Now, if the merchant, say Jumia, is registered with GRA for income tax or VAT, then that payment I'm making, that is for buying the shoe, would be exempt.
The transaction like ATM, if I should use the ATM, my own account, do I have to pay anything on that?
Well, it actually depends on the kind of transaction that you are performing. So, for instance, if you go to the ATM specifically to withdraw, that you wouldn't be levied.
Now we know that the levy is applicable at the point of transfer and not withdrawal. But that if I have say 1,000 CDs, I want to split it between two people, 500 each. Am I being charged on both 500s, or the charge will be on the first 500? I mean, within the same day, if I'm transacting this business in the same day.
So, this is how it will work. You cannot transfer 500, two 500s at once. It has to be subsequent, right? So, the first 500 that you send in a day to your friend, you will be excluded 100 Ghana cedis, and then the levy would be applied, 1.5 would be applied on the 400. However, with the subsequent 500 that you send, the levy would be applied on the entire 500. Yeah, because you only have up to 100 Ghana cedis daily threshold.
And then now that we've rolled out, I mean, this modified phased implementation, we've done 2 days. We started on May 1, now today is May 2. From where you are, your observations so far, and then the challenges that have come up, and how we intend to deal with these.
Yeah, so there have been so we have been monitoring online platforms like Twitter, Facebook, taking the feedback, some concerns that have been shared. So we did an analysis of them and realized that, yes, some of them indeed were true. So what we are doing, the role of the GRA is engaging these charging entities who are responsible for charging, because we give them the requirements as to how they should charge. So if there's an overcharge, then they have to reimburse whoever suffered that charge.
So among the challenges, I mean, the most dominant ones we've picked up so far have to do with an overcharge and, of course, challenges with interoperability. Has this come to your notice, and how do you intend dealing with it?
Yeah, so this was actually part of what we anticipated when we rolled out with a modified phased approach. This very operation is what we call off-net transactions. It means that from one charging entity, you'll be making a transaction or a transfer to another charging entity. And then we anticipated that some of these issues would come. But then there's one specific charging entity that has a bit of technical glitches. So we are working hard with them to make sure that they resolve it as soon as possible. Once it's resolved, all who were affected by that would have their funds refunded to them.
Thank you very much. Nana Poku Efri Asante. He's a member of the GRA's technical committee on the e-levy, giving us all the details, explaining to us, and of course helping us understand the various challenges encountered so far and the ways at which they are dealing with these issues.